Never ignore a heart. In a small riverside town in Ohio, there lived a boy named Ethan. He was 12 years old, quiet by nature, and loved to draw. While most kids spent afternoons playing basketball or riding bikes, Ethan would sit under the old oak tree in his backyard, sketching scenes of boats on the river, the red brick houses on Main Street, or the wildflowers blooming by the fence. Ethan's parents ran a small diner and worked long hours. They loved him, but between orders and late-night cleanups, they often didn't notice how much time he spent alone. For Ethan, drawing was more than a hobby. It was how he spoke to the world. At school, though, things weren't easy. He wasn't athletic, he didn't talk much, and that made him an easy target. One afternoon, while he was sketching during recess, a group of boys surrounded him. They snatched his drawing pad, laughed at the messy lines, and ripped the pages into pieces before running off. Ethan froze. He didn't yell, didn't fight back. He simply picked up the scraps of paper, stuffed them into his backpack, and walked away. Someone had seen it happen. Ms. Carter, the new art teacher, had been watching from the hallway window. Instead of confronting the boys, she approached Ethan later that day. She gently picked up a drawing he had left behind, a half-finished sketch of the town's riverfront, and said, "Ethan, this is beautiful. Every drawing is a piece of someone's heart. Don't ever let anyone convince you otherwise." For the first time in a long while, Ethan felt truly seen. Ms. Carter began encouraging Ethan to join the upcoming school art fair. At first, he shook his head. "I'll just embarrass myself," he muttered. But she persisted. "Ethan, you don't have to draw for them. Draw for yourself. Let your heart speak." Reluctantly, he agreed. Over the next few weeks, Ethan poured himself into a painting he titled, "The Heart of Our Town." It showed the river bending around the old mill, children playing in the park, and in the middle, a small house with a glowing window, his quiet way of painting home. When the fair finally arrived, Ethan's painting hung alongside dozens of others. He stood nervously in the corner, avoiding eye contact, until the judges announced the winners. To his shock, his painting won first prize. Not only that, but it was chosen to be displayed at a local gallery. The same kids who had mocked him now stood silent, unsure what to say. Ethan clutched the certificate with trembling hands, his heart pounding with both pride and disbelief. But life, as always, has its storms. One autumn evening, as Ethan was riding his bike home from the gallery, a car swerved unexpectedly and struck him. He woke up in the hospital with his parents at his side, and doctors explaining the damage. His right hand, his drawing hand, had been badly injured. Even with therapy, it would never move with the same ease again. For Ethan, it was like the world had collapsed. Drawing was his language, his refuge. Without it, who was he? He pushed away his sketchbooks, refused to touch a pencil, and stopped showing up to class. Days blurred into weeks. Then one Saturday afternoon, Ms. Carter visited his house. She found him sitting by the window, staring blankly at the falling leaves. Without saying much, she placed a fresh sketch pad and a pencil on the table. "Try your left hand," she suggested softly. Ethan shook his head. "It won't work. It'll look awful." She smiled. "Maybe, but the heart doesn't draw with perfect lines. It draws with courage." Hesitant, Ethan picked up the pencil with his left hand. The lines came out crooked, shaky, uneven. But when he looked up, Ms. Carter was smiling warmly. "This," she said, "is beautiful, because it's you refusing to give up." Little by little, Ethan practiced again. At first, his sketches were messy, but over time, he discovered something new. Though his left hand lacked precision, it gave his art a raw, powerful emotion that his earlier drawings had not. Each crooked line carried resilience. Each imperfect stroke carried strength. Years passed. Ethan grew into a young man, determined to turn hardship into art. His work evolved, less about perfect shapes, more about honest feelings. His paintings often featured cracked objects filled with light, broken trees sprouting new branches, or shattered glass reflecting the sunrise. People who saw his art said they could feel something stirring inside them. Pain, yes, but also hope. Finally, after years of persistence, Ethan held his first solo exhibition in a gallery downtown. Visitors walked through the room, pausing in front of his centerpiece painting. It was a massive canvas, showing a heart with deep cracks running through it. But from every fracture poured out golden light, filling the canvas with warmth. The painting was titled, "Never Ignore a Heart." Among the crowd that day was Ms. Carter, older now, her hair streaked with gray. She stood silently before the painting for a long time, her eyes moist. When Ethan noticed her, their eyes met across the room. In that moment, no words were needed. Both knew, without her encouragement all those years ago, without her refusal to ignore his silent heart, this moment would never have existed. Ethan's story carries a simple but powerful truth. Every heart deserves to be seen. Sometimes, it takes only a kind word, a listening ear, or a gentle push to remind someone that their heart matters. We often overlook quiet souls around us, the shy child, the struggling friend, even our own inner voice. But when a heart is ignored, it withers. When it is acknowledged, it shines. So never ignore a heart. You never know. The heart you notice today might one day light up the world.